All right, so they want you arrested. You're willing to get arrested if Putin's willing to get arrested, and you said, I'll meet you in The Hague.
Well, so number one, if I'm tried in Moscow, I don't like my chances. It's an away game for me, right? Trump would have a better chance in San Francisco than I would in Moscow. So I know what awaits me if I go to Moscow. So I told Putin, let's go to The Hague. You bring your best game against me. I'll bring my best game against you. And what is this all about? I dared call him a war criminal and a thug. He has invaded his neighbors. He's raped women. He's kidnapped children. He's a war criminal on steroids. And I stood up to him. I'm for freedom. In Russia, if you say what I did, you go to jail. They're trying to get me to go to jail. I live in America. I don't want to live like that. I'm for freedom. I want the Ukrainians to be able to defeat Putin. I want to end the war in Ukraine. And how do you end it? You beat Putin there. If he wins in Ukraine, he keeps going. We'll be in a war with Russia because he'll attack a NATO nation. China will take Taiwan. So let's end the war in the Ukraine by helping the Ukrainians beat the Russians. As to Putin, I could give a damn what you think about me. I'm going to keep telling the world you're a thug and a war criminal. Victory for Ukraine.
You know, look, when this first started, you and I both spoke about somebody within Russia with access to Putin. It would be kind of nice if they did the job for the rest of the world. I agree with your analysis. I agree he is a thug. He is a murderer. This has been indiscriminate bombing, targeting innocent men, women, and children. We've seen the bodies. We've seen the apartment buildings. We've seen the neighborhoods all blown out. Here's my problem, though, with America bearing the brunt of the financial cost of this. This is Europe's war. Now, I don't mind helping, but there have to be two conditions in my mind for this to go forward. Europe has not paid their fair share, one. Number two, Biden was not from the beginning fighting the war to win the war. When Poland offered nearly 30 MiGs, Biden put handcuffs on Ukraine and said no.
Absolutely.
So if you're not going to fight a war to win a war, America should have no part of that war. So unless those two conditions are met, I think America has stepped up more than enough. Europe needs to protect their continent first, and they're not doing it.
Well, let me just talk about what you said. Number one, I agree with you. Biden has made it hard for Ukraine to win. They needed tanks. Biden said no. They eventually got tanks. You know, they needed long-range artillery. Biden said no. We made him do it. It's been like pulling teeth. But let me tell you, I just got back from Ukraine. That's why they want to arrest me. I'm here to tell you and your audience that the Ukrainians are going on the offensive any minute now, any day now. They're going to take territory back from the Russians. The Russian army is weak and been bloodied, and the Ukrainians on the verge of taking back substantial territory. Now's the time to be all in. Yes, Europe should do more. But if you want to protect America, if you want to make sure China doesn't invade Taiwan, you better stand up to Putin now. He's going to keep going until somebody stops him. Now, one American soldier has died in the Ukraine. We have Israel. They don't want our soldiers. They just want technology and weapons. It is in our national security interest to defeat Putin in Ukraine. I want to end the war as quick as possible. I want to be helping Ukraine with the weapons they need. Biden has been slow to the cause. I'm here to tell you, Sean, the Ukrainians have defied all expectations. They're going to drive out the Russians if we continue to help them. Europe should do more, but it's about our national security. If Putin wins, they'll have more war.
One of the reasons that he's able to fight this war is because of the monies that he's made from energy. Because Joe Biden unilaterally disarmed, and we're not producing domestic energy. That reduced the world's supply, which increased the world's price. For the lifeblood of the world's economy, which was stupid on Joe Biden's part. But Europe has to step up, number one. Number two, either you fight and you fight to win, or you don't fight at all. That should be the motto of everybody going forward. Now, I did like that the Ukrainians, I kind of liked it that they hit Moscow. Give them a taste of their own medicine this week.
Yeah. Well, number one, I've been in Ukraine, and we all thought they would fall in 4 days. I cannot tell you how much I admire the Ukrainian people. Would you want to live in a country where you could go to jail by criticizing the government. They literally want to arrest a United States senator because I dared speak truth to power. Would you want to live in Putin's Russia? No. So help the Ukrainians. It's in our interest for Putin to lose in Ukraine, because if he doesn't, he'll keep going and there'll be a war between NATO and Russia. And I don't want that. I don't want to fight China. I want to deter China. So Biden's weakness has led to more conflict, not less. We have a chance, through the bravery of the Ukrainians, nothing to do with Biden, to beat Putin in Ukraine. And I'm here to tell you, Sean, the world that Putin would chart for us is not a world I want to live in.
All right,
I don't want to live in a world where if I criticize somebody, I go to jail.
If we had a president that would stand up to even some of our allies and say,
Amen,
either pay your fair share. Look at what Macron said. Macron basically gave a rubber stamp for President Xi to go ahead and take Taiwan. Excuse me, that's in his backyard. And they're not paying their fair share, and I'm tired of them taking advantage of our country. We shouldn't give them another cent until they do their job and they contribute their fair share. All right, moving on to another topic. What are your plans tomorrow as it relates to, assuming that this vote continues, and I can't see the numbers in front of me, and this bill passes in the House, this compromise bill with McCarthy and Biden, where do you obviously don't support it because of defense spending. What are your plans tomorrow? Because you, Mike Lee, Rand Paul are three people that will be offering amendments.
Well, my plan is to inform the American people that this budget deal is a disaster for the United States military. I like Kevin McCarthy. He's got a hard job. But he said this bill fully funds the military. I want your audience to know tonight that this bill is $42 billion short of matching inflation. This bill creates a smaller Navy at a time when the Chinese are going from 300 ships to 440. This bill puts us on track to go from 298 ships in our Navy to 291. It's the lowest spending per GDP on defense since World War II. This bill is a disaster for America. It is a big win for China. I'm going to be hell no. The number one job of the federal government is to defend this nation. I'm a Reagan Republican, and Ronald Reagan would never have done this at all. Put our Navy in decline as China is building up. So, Sean, I cannot tell you from a defense point of view, this bill is a disaster for the American military. If you think $42 billion under inflation is fully funding, then we're in the wrong party.
All right, we appreciate it. Senator Graham, appreciate you being with us tonight. Thank you.